Revisited. It's 16 November again. This is video number 16, and I'm going to try to get through all these Wikipedia articles and maybe even do all the Weebly. We'll see how far that gets because it's Sunday and I'm off. I got time. I can do this. So um, I'll just keep going until I get tired of talking about this because literally I think about my poor friends when I come back to visit them in Atlanta someday. I could sit down literally for days and talk to them about what I know about this. I could talk to anybody about this for days, nonstop, and present fact after evidence after evidence, and still wouldn't even get close. Um, but I'm going to keep going today, and because I'm going to catch up. I've been really busy the last couple of weeks, and going to be busy next week. So I'm not sure how much time I'll have for do videos next week, but I got Sunday. I'm off. Got nothing to do here, so besides it's raining a little bit, I'm going to work on the rest of these videos here. All right, so we left off with Charles Stevens, and one thing I wanted to say about this, okay, is it's not mentioned here in the Wikipedia articles, but in the autopsies and the police reports, these kids are missing clothes, or they have clothes that's not theirs. Okay, like some will have their shoes on, but not their socks. Some will have their pants on, but not their underwear. Okay. So what does that tell you? Well, that tells you, if you want to take it that far, they're getting naked somewhere. There's some kind of sexual activity going on here. Okay. Now, it says that there's no evidence of rape or anything like that. Well, that would only be evidence if the guy left his semen. If Wayne Williams is smart, he's going to use a fucking condom, right? And if these kids, it's not their first time around the rodeo, if you know what I mean, they're not going to be like damaged, if you know what I mean. So it's not going to be traumatic for them. Well, it's traumatic, but it's not going to be leave a lot of physical evidence of they were raped. Okay. So again, my hypothesis is that Wayne gets involved in this pornography industry. He starts off with the music business, but ends up in the child pornography business through the influence of Jimmy Ginn. Okay? That's why I think it happens somewhere around 77, 78. Um, and then that's most likely probably 78. And then what happens, either he gets angry or he's trying to cover up. You know, he's hearing words that some of the kids are talking. I'm going to tell my parents I want more money, whatever, some kind of dissatisfaction. Or he could just be an angry SOB and decide to start killing them all. Or it could be a combination of all of them. Okay. Sometimes people do things for multiple reasons and not just one thing to get them off, to get them going. Sometimes just one. A lot of times it's multiple reasons or it fills multiple tick marks, I guess you could say. So I think the tick marks are that Wayne's frustrated because his music business is not working. He's frustrated he's not making that much money in this porn industry that he's doing. He's frustrated uh, because no one's recognizing him as this big star, how important he is. He's frustrated also because some of these kids are getting out of hand. Hey, I'm paying you good money, and you want more money? You're gonna blab about it. You're talking to your friends about this. You know, shut up or else. So I think it's a whole combination of these things that are going on inside his head. But then again, I'm not inside Wayne Williams' head, so I don't know what is going on there. Or also, it could be as simple as the fact that he's just a getter, a gatherer, and there are other people pulling the chains and saying, hey, get rid of that one. He's talking too much. Or, hey, we want to do a snuff film with that guy. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm throwing out possibilities because that's where the evidence is leading. Now, what the evidence will say is what happened, mostly. It won't tell you why it happened because the why's in the head of the killer. It'll tell you that Wayne picked up this kid, he got him in his car, took him to his house, he killed him on the bed, he hit him over the head, he strangled him, and then he took him, put him in the car, and dumped him someplace or dumped him in the river. That's what the evidence will tell you. But it won't tell you why he decided to kill them. Okay? What motivated him to kill them? And I'm just throwing out possibilities. I'm not married to any philosophy or whatever. And this is what you do when police, they sit around, they look at the evidence and say, what the fuck is going on here? Why is this guy doing this? And I'm sure in that FBI office and in the Atlanta Police Bureau in Redding and what was his name? Public Safety Commissioner Brown, they all sat around going, what the, and even the mayor, I'm sure the mayor came to Brown and said, why is this going on? Who's doing this and why are they doing this? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You're the police, paying you guys millions of dollars in technology and salaries, and you can't figure it out? And I'm sure when they arrested Wayne, they still didn't know what the fuck was going on, why it was going on. That's probably one of the reasons why the DA, I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole because I can't answer that question. But of course, in the judicial system, you don't have to answer why someone did something. All you have to answer is how they did it and that they did it. You have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. Let the jury ponder on why they killed him. I'm sure in the jury, they all sat around in there going, what the fuck? Why would this guy do this? Killing these kids? Was he angry? There's nothing in the evidence showing any reason why. They threw out some breadcrumbs that he wanted to, kill off the stupid people, I guess, the stupid blacks, the dumb blacks, I guess. But he's killing, kids like Yusuf Bell and kids that are honor students. So that doesn't make any sense, right? If he's trying to get rid of kids that make other smart blacks like him look good, why is he killing Yusuf Bell and why is he killing, these honor students? Okay? The up and coming, the people that could be the elite, the doctors, the lawyers 20 years later. Why is he doing that? Is he jealous of them? Because he knows they're so smart that they may end up outdoing him? They're all sitting there, and even today, people are like, well, why the fuck would Wayne Williams do this? And I don't know. I throw out possibilities. He's angry at his society because they didn't protect him. He's mad because his business in the music industry ain't working. He's protecting himself because these kids are threatening to tell or whatever, or he's being commanded to do this by, Thieves and Jimmy Jen or whoever's pulling, the Gambinos, whoever's pulling the pornography strings. But there's no solid evidence showing that. But we definitely know that Wayne Williams killed the majority of the kids. No doubt about it. All the evidence that I'm coming across here, he definitely was involved. Was he the only one involved? Absolutely not. Were kids on the list not killed by Wayne Williams? Absolutely not, except for maybe Angel Lanier. Because the evidence says that he killed them all. It just doesn't say why he killed them. But anyway, so I was mentioning about Charles Stevens and how some of the kids had different, you know, there was no socks, there was no underwear, but somebody put the pants back on, and somebody put the shoes back on. Now, if you strangle a kid and he's naked on your bed, why are you going to put his clothes back on, right? Well, there's a psychological reason for that. Someone who's not like some just blithering, crazy, out of their mind lunatic is going to have shame, especially killing a child naked, laying on his bed. He's going to cover that up. Why do you think people sometimes when they find dead bodies, they've covered the face? Because if you cover the face, it's just a body. It's not a human. With a face, you become a human. Okay? So that's why he's putting the clothes back on. He's conscious of what he's doing. He may have split personality, that this killer instinct comes out and kills the kid, and then the other part of his personality comes out and says, "Oh my God, what did you do? Now we're going to have to cover this all up. Oh my God, well, here, let's put the clothes back on and we'll have to go hide the body." It could be something like that. Anyway, so we got Aaron Jackson, age 9, went missing on November 1st. His body was discovered the next day strangled, lying face up on a riverbank. Now, that one, if I remember correctly, was the one, yeah, November 1st. So it came out late October in the newspaper that somebody slipped up and says, yeah, you know, newspaper reporters asking, well, why are these kids getting on the list and these other kids aren't getting on the list? Oh, well, they're finding fibers on the bodies. And the ones that have these specific types of fibers, which he doesn't mention, are placed on the list. The ones that don't aren't on the list. Okay? Because there's some kids that are found just bones with no fibers. But they're near bodies that have fibers. Okay? Like in Christopher Richardson, Earl Terrell. So that's what he does. Wayne Williams goes down, I think it's off of Forest Park Road or something like that, and he throws the body into the South River. But the South River is perennial river, so when it rains really hard, the river level goes up, and then it flows down, and the river level goes back down, and there's all these rocks that have been pushed down. So he throws the body at night on the South River, and he comes back the next morning to make sure that it washed down. Now, a guy driving up that road saw Wayne Williams. He described Wayne Williams leaning over the railing right where the body was found. Now, the guy saw him and he saw his green station wagon. He didn't know there was a body there. He went to work or did something. And then when he came back later that day, somebody had found the body there. They called the police and he saw the activity going on. And they were right there where he saw Wayne Williams. He didn't know that was Wayne Williams at the time. And he comes up and says, yeah, I saw this guy. And he gave a description with a green station wagon. Now, the green station wagon will be James Comento's green station wagon. Okay? It's also the same green station wagon that will be seen Luby Getter getting into, will be seen over at Southview Cemetery with Luby Getter. It's also the green station wagon that the dental technician will see James Comento sitting in right in front of where the body of Patrick Baltazar will be found after he's later that day. So this guy saw that. He described what he saw. And of course, just like you and me, you're driving down the road, you see some guy looking over the bridge. You don't see his face. All you see is his hair. You see his clothes. You see his car, maybe. Maybe that's his car. Maybe it's not. But you don't have a real good description of the guy. Okay? But they give him what he's, in that part of Atlanta, there's probably, 10,000 guys that look, young men that look just like that from the back. So they got nothing. But that's the first time that Wayne Williams tries to throw the body, okay, in the river was with Aaron Jackson. And of course, it happened, you see right there, November 1st. Now, on November 30th, okay, Patrick Rogers is in the same housing project as Aaron White. He takes his little brother down, Isaac, I think it's Isaac, right? Takes his little brother down to the bus stop to go to school, drops him off, and he's leaves him and goes off to get another kid, okay, that he's going to take that kid and they're going to go to a music audition with a guy named Wayne, okay? And then he's gone. Now, Isaac Rogers, years later, will tell a story. Now, I don't know if it's right after that or later that day, or he doesn't really tell you the time, but he says that he didn't tell anybody, but at that around that time, he was chased by Wayne Williams up the stairs in through an apartment, and he was able to get into someone else's apartment before Wayne Williams got him, and he identified him as Wayne Williams. At the time, he didn't know that was Wayne Williams, okay? But the question is, where's Patrick Rogers at this time? So apparently, if this happened right after, so it doesn't make any sense. So the Mia doesn't make much sense, because if he's dropping him off to go to the bus to get on to go to school, what's he doing over that apartment over there? Maybe this happened after he got out of school, and maybe Wayne is back around there again after he's picked up Patrick Rogers. I don't know. I don't know the situation, but he identifies Wayne Williams as the guy, okay? All right. So you got all these situations. I'm going to go over her almost every instance Wayne Williams is identified, almost in every single case, either through the fibers or through witnesses. And then also, so Patrick Rogers disappears on the 30th, but his body is found up at the Chattahoochee on the Cobb County side on the 7th of December, 8 days later. No putrefaction, nothing. So he wasn't killed that day. He was held for at least a couple of days and then was killed and put into the river, probably the night before on the 6th or early that morning on the 7th, and where they found the body right near Vinings. All right. We'll keep going here. It says 1981. Oh, and so about this, let's back up a little bit here. About October. Yeah. About October is supposedly when Wayne Williams gets the white station wagon from his uncle down in Columbus, supposedly. But I saw either the same white station wagon or a white station wagon that he had back in July. So I don't know if that story is actually correct or not. But you can see, so let's see, it's September, October. So after Charles Stevens is when he gets that white station wagon, because before then, he's like, you see right here, he's borrowing the green car. Okay? Right here, he's borrowing the green car. Right there. Okay? And there's no witness sees him get into the car here. So it says police speculated that he was dropped from a bridge above. Now, there's a bridge, I think Paces Ferry Road right there goes across. He was found before that bridge. Okay? So the next bridge up would be the 1941, I think it's called Marietta Parkway Bridge. And so What he's doing is he's testing out bridges, okay? He's testing out rivers and testing out bridges. So Aaron Jackson, he drops in the South River at a secluded bridge, but the body doesn't wash downstream. So he's like, well, fuck, I got to take it to a bigger river. We'll go to the Chattahoochee. And he goes up to where the Chattahoochee, okay, where he thinks is a good spot. But then once he gets there and dumps him, he realizes that 1941 is pretty damn busy ass road. So then he starts going further down to the James Jackson and then these other bridges below that, below like I-20. So, but again, we have to ask, where was Patrick Rogers for 7-8 days? Because his body, he'd only been dead for about 24 hours or less. All right, so keep going. It says the murders continued. Oh, and then in December of 1981, okay, the Ford LTD, Burgundy Ford LTD that his dad was driving, gets repossessed. Okay, so now they're stuck with this one station wagon, and Wayne's borrowing cars, the green station wagon, the blue car, of friends and stuff like that. They're also renting cars. A question I have is, okay, so Wayne is renting these studios at 5 different studios. The one up in Buckhead off of Shadow Lawn, the one off of Simpson Road where Jimmy Jen is at, the one down at Hotlanta Records where Jimmy Jen owns also, and then there's let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, and there's 2 more someplace that I'm not exact. Oh, wait a minute, yeah, and then there's the one off of Lakewood, right across from the Dipper Dens where I'm at. That's 4. And then there's a 5th one somewhere that I'm not certain where that one's at. But just alone at the Shadow Lawn, I saw the FBI receipts for that. And he had rented that at least every week or two. Okay. And just that one studio alone. And it was like $100 a pop, $125 for an hour or two, for 2 hours or something like that. And so that's just $400. Let's say $400, $500 for one studio. Okay. Let's just say he's just going there. Well, his mother is sick with cancer. Dad's going broke and loses 2 cars. Okay. And so they have to get this old junky white station wagon from his uncle. And now they're sharing that white station wagon. And I guess Wayne is using James Comento's green station wagon because he's seen with James Comento's green station wagon at the Shadow Lawn and at talent contests and stuff like that. So he's not making a lot of money. So the question is, why does he continue with this? And why doesn't Homer shut this down? Say, look, we're going broke here. Your mom's sick. She needs medicine for her cancer treatments. I'm not making. We're barely making it with the money we have from our retirement and Social Security. I'm making a little bit on the side with, my photography with the Atlanta. God, what was that paper called? The Atlanta. Anyway, and you're not making any money, and you're spending $500 a month for these studios, and we need to shut this down. You need to go get a real job. Why doesn't he say that? Because Wayne's making other money someplace else. Okay? If he wasn't making money, his dad would have shut it down. You can't use the car anymore. Da 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 da. Because imagine this. He's paying all this money for the studios, but they're losing the cars. Wife is sick every day and needs medicine for the cancer treatment. He's getting into bed with the wife coughing and hacking from lung cancer. But for some reason, he lets Wayne keep going on with his business. So he must be making some kind of money, right? And he's not making any money from a recording industry. He's not making any money from record sales or, talent contests, nothing with any group, because he never puts together a group. Where's the money coming from for the $500 a month for the studio time? And why does he continue with that process on something that you're not making money from? And that's where I say, I think he's making money from something else that involves these kids, that he's using the studio time and the whole Nova music industries, this old talent agency farce. He's playing the role that Jimmy Jen is playing, okay, with Jen Music and his talent, his record booking industry that he has over there that I was talking about earlier. That's what I think is going on, but I'm just speculating, okay? All right, so it says the murders continue into 1981. The first known victim of the new year was 14-year-old Luby Getter, who disappeared on January 3rd. Getter's body was found on February 5th. All right. All right, so let's get into Luby Getter. Now, let's see, hold on. On January 2nd, an employee at Stewart Lakewood will see Luby Getter talking to Wayne Williams, and we'll see him get into a green station wagon with Wayne Williams and drive off. Now, he recognized Wayne Williams because back in August of 1980, Wayne Williams had approached him, this witness, and told him, said, hey, you want a job? He said, yes. Okay, come with me. And the guy got in a car and went with Wayne, and they went over to right across the highway, and Wayne attempted to molest him in the car. Then Wayne got out of the car, went around to the back trunk, opened the trunk, and when Wayne did that, the kid bolted from the car and escaped. But he remembered Wayne, and he remembered the car that Wayne was in, because the car that he describes is exactly the same car that I saw Wayne and his little Gemini buddy when they first drove up, that I talked to you about, that the Gemini kid came back with Wayne, and they were sitting inside a white LTD two-door car with a half black top, and it had a trunk. It wasn't a station wagon. And the kid got out and came up and banged on the window. Okay. See, this is why I went over all this geography and these details, because now we're going to start laying it on about what I was talking about in the geography and those locations. So if you didn't go watch those videos, go back and watch them. It's very important. So that same car that I remember, and for years afterwards, I was doubting myself, going, did I really see Wayne Williams? Did I really see what I thought I saw? And then I read the testimony of that guy from the court transcript, and I'm like, holy fuck. That's the same fucking car that I saw Wayne Williams in with this Gemini kid. Now, whose car that was, I have no idea. Maybe it belonged to the Gemini kid. Maybe it was a rental. Who knows? Maybe they stole it. Maybe they got it from another friend. Who knows? When you see the news media chasing Wayne and the police following Wayne, you see Wayne in all these different cars. I counted in an hour of video they had, probably 5-6 different cars Wayne was driving. He would get in one car, get in another car, show up one car, leaving in another car. Okay? They were renting cars. They were borrowing cars from friends, all these things. So, more on Luby Getter here. So Luby Getter, this witness saw Wayne and Luby get into a car on the 2nd of January that I saw Wayne in mid-July. Same exact car. Okay? So on January 3rd, Luby Getter's back there again. Okay? Doing the same thing, selling the car freshener, air fresheners for the cars. A witness who was buying a mattress was loading her car. Oh, they were loading the car. She saw Luby Getter, was close enough to see Luby Getter and see Wayne and hear them talking. And she noticed that Wayne was wearing a silk type shirt, had a scar on his face, which was his blemishes. Okay. And they both, Luby Getter and him, walked over and got into a green station wagon. Again, James Comento's green station wagon. And they drove off. And that was the last Luby Getter was ever seen. And this happened within like 50 yards of the Dipper Dens, maybe 100 yards of where I was at, where I had been working the previous summer. Okay? So, again, like I said, if you go back and watch my videos, you'll see that Stewart Lakewood is kind of the hub of Wayne Williams' world in his little kill box there. That's where he brings them to get the ice creams, buys them, food, buys them clothing. That's his little hub of his killing zone, okay? That's where he's hanging out. That's where he and I butted heads, and he scared the shit out of me. And that's where I quit. All right. Now it kind of pissed me off because if I had stayed, I would have been able to have busted Wayne Williams, because as soon as Earl Terrell disappeared and I was still working there, I could have ID'd him. So that's probably why he threatened me. So I would quit. Okay? And then who's going to believe some white kid from Clayton County that said you saw Earl Terrell, right? With Wayne Williams? Come on. Anyway, so the next day on 4 January, okay, a white couple from Clayton County was driving through Southview Cemetery. I have no idea why. They said they were almost run off the road by two black men in a green station wagon. Okay. The driver was a tall, skinny man with a goatee whose head almost hit the ceiling. The passenger in the front passenger seat was a chubby man with glasses that were falling off. He was struggling to keep them on. And he had a red wig he was struggling to keep on over his head. Okay. And sitting in his lap, okay, was a child that she said was somewhere between, 11 and 13. But, if a car is flying by you and you almost get hit, you don't know exactly the age. I believe that was Luby Getter. I believe that they took Wayne and Nathaniel Cater, because obviously the driver was Nathaniel Cater. They took him out to Southview Cemetery, probably put him in front of one of the tombstones, because out of the 29 victims, approximately, I think it's like 8 to 10 of them are buried at Southview Cemetery. Okay. I believe you use that as intimidation. You're going to keep talking. I hear, you're talking shit. You're going to turn me in for the reward money. You keep talking, you're going to end up 6 feet under, just like that kid right here in this tombstone. And apparently the threat didn't work. And so they took him back, but they didn't kill him, because they found the intact body of Luby Getter almost a month later. Okay. That's on January 4th. They don't find his body until February 4th, and it just started to deteriorate. That means he'd only been dead maybe a week. Okay. So again, where was Luby Getter for 21 days? All right. Getter's friend, 15-year-old Terry Pugh, went missing in January. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know he was friends with Terry Pugh. An anonymous caller told the police where to find Pugh's body. Terry lived in the same apartment as uh, Edward Teddy Smith was killed in 1979. Now, not all this information is correct, okay? So it says an anonymous caller told the police where to find. Oh wait, that's not really true. They know who the guy is, okay? The person who found they're mixing up two stories. The person who found Terry Pugh's body um, was driving along, saw the kid on the side of the road, got out of the car, saw that he was dead, went back to his house, called the police, told them where the body was at, and then met the police there. Okay? So when they talk about an anonymous caller, they're mixing up another story that happened like a week or two before, or a couple of weeks before, where a white guy was calling the Rockdale County sheriff saying he was the one that was killing all the kids and that they could find a body off over there off of what was that, Sykes Road, or I can't remember the name of the road. And he told them where to find the body. John Douglas told them, because John Douglas was in town looking at some of the murder sites. And John Douglas said, no, we're going to get this guy to call you back so we can trace the call. What you want to do is if he says go east, you go west. If he says take a left, you go right. Do everything opposite. Now they're getting pissed off and he'll call back, which doesn't make any sense to me because if there's no body out there and he's not the killer, then why would he get mad and call back? Anyway, he calls back and says, hey, you guys, the news reports that is that. He calls back, says you guys got it all wrong. They trace the call. They catch him. They arrest him. They question him. They give him a lie detector test. They search his house. None of the fibers match up. Nothing matches up. He's just an angry, drunk old guy. Okay? There was also another caller who was calling this minister called Reverend Polk and talking about painting jobs, and they got in a van and all this kinds of crap. Wasn't the same guy. So what happened with that is I would say a little bit of jealousy on the part of the killer, Wayne Williams. So all this was all over the news media. We know that Wayne Williams, the killer, was watching the news media and following that. And he was kind of pissed. He's like, hey, some asshole is trying to steal my glory. This is my territory. This is my killing zone. I'm the head chief lion that's killing all these kids. There's nobody else out there. It's me. Of course, I can't tell you it's me. But I'm not going to let some asshole, some white cracker, steal my glory. So what does he do? He gets Terry Pugh. He kills Terry Pugh and dumps the body right near where they had been searching like a week before. Just to let them know. It's a marker, okay? Bears, I think it's bears and lions, they'll leave their scent on trees and bushes to let other bears and lions know that there's another bear and another lion in this area, and this is his territory. You better stay out. This is Wayne Williams leaving his marker. This is my territory. Although Rockdale County is kind of out of my territory, but I'm making it my territory because I'm not going to have some fucking white cracker come in and try to steal my glory. Ain't going to happen. So Terry Pugh, okay, disappears from a crystal off of Memorial Drive, just kind of right down the road from where Darren Glass disappeared, just like 5 minutes away. Okay? And Terry Pugh's mother had seen him and Wayne hanging out. Terry Pugh's mother also saw Wayne taking photos at the funeral of Terry Pugh. Okay. Another witness over off of Campbellton Highway, I believe where Terry Pugh worked as a Church's Fried Chicken. I guess the employer said, the manager said, she saw Terry Pugh come up and he tried to sell her a water pistol. And then he went back to a car, a white station wagon, with a man she identified as Wayne Williams. And let me tell you again, those glasses and that big afro give Wayne Williams away. Those Coke bottle glasses, I don't think in the whole time of the 70s and 80s that I lived in Atlanta, I never saw anyone that looked like Wayne Williams. Not one. Except for Coach Thompson, the football coach and driver's ed coach at North Clayton High School. He looked like if Wayne Williams had made it to like 40, it would have been Coach Thompson because Coach Thompson and him looked exactly alike. Okay? It could have been Wayne Williams could have been the love child of Coach Thompson. Okay? Uh, that's kind of an insult to Coach Thompson because Coach Thompson was a righteous dude. Okay? But he had a very unique look. That's why people remembered him. Okay? All right. All right, so let's see. Okay. In February and March, 6 more bodies were discovered and believed to link to the previous homicides. Among the deceased was the body of 21-year-old Eddie Duncan, the first adult victim. They don't mention the other 6? Okay. So you see what happens here, okay, is Wayne Williams, God, they don't talk about Patrick Baltazar. Well, there were 2 things that happened. You have this asshole that tried to steal his glory, and then at the same time, you had the FBI officially joined the investigation and started. They were the primary investigators, okay? And Patrick Baltazar, okay, disappears from the Omni and then shows up, his body on the embankment over off Executive Parkway, right behind where the dental technician had seen a green station wagon and described this guy that looked exactly like James Comento looked, with long curly hair and a mustache and a flannel shirt in a green station wagon again. And it's right down the creek, or right down the creek from where the FBI field office is in DeKalb County there, because the only other FBI office is right downtown. Cameras everywhere. Wayne's not going to dump a body right there on the steps of the FBI, okay? So, but he did disappear from the Omni. And I think this situation with this guy out in Rockdale County and the FBI joining the hunt triggered Wayne into killing. And also, they had this concert where they raised more money. And then Muhammad Ali came along and raised the reward money to $500,000. So there was a lot of incentive for people to talk, which gave Wayne more incentive to kill off people involved, okay? Any kind of people that could place him as witnesses, he's going to kill them off and put the fear on the street. And it worked because nobody turned Wayne Williams in, okay? The people that were going to turn Wayne Williams in, he killed them before they had a chance. Then he started with the adults who'd been helping him in his crew, and he started killing them off before they had a chance to turn him in also. Now, you remember Eddie Duncan, okay? Eddie Duncan, okay? He disappeared right down the road from James Management. I mean, just a block away from James Management, owned by Jimmy Ginn, just south of the Techwood, where the week before, a witness who knows Wayne Williams, they were having these protests and organizing this bat patrol at Techwood Homes, and they got on the news and said, "Hey, this guy, I can't remember his name, the long curly hair, he had a bat and said, any motherfuckers come around here and mess with our kids, we're gonna fuck them up. Okay, we're gonna be carrying bats and guns, and nobody's coming around here and messing with our kids." Well, that was a challenge to Wayne, okay, because he's in his, fuck you mode, fuck you FBI, fuck you Techwood Bat Patrol. I'm God. This is my territory. I can do what the fuck. I can come and go and kill and go who I want. Okay? I've been getting away for it for what, a year and a half? And I'm going to keep getting away with it because I'm killing everybody that can turn me in. So he calls Eddie. Well, first of all, Nellie Trammell saw that guy speaking. She saw Wayne Williams filming it. He was there with his camera. She saw Eddie Dunking standing there with Wayne Williams, and she also saw Larry Rogers there with Wayne Williams. Okay? And so later, a couple of days later, Wayne calls Eddie Duncan, has a meeting on the corner down there, right up from the Simpsons studio, takes him off, kills him at his house. And that was the first adult. All the rest had been under 18. And then later, Larry Rogers disappears. Now, Larry Rogers is seen getting into, was it a blue station wagon or a green station? Anyway, he's seen getting into a car with what he described as Wayne Williams. And, it's not like they are seeing these victims just get in a car with any old black guy, okay? It's Wayne Williams, folks. He has a very, very unique look. I think he did his hair like that and his look like that so people would remember him. Oh, look, it's Wayne Williams. Hey, Wayne, what's going on? Oh, just working the music business. You got to have a unique look that people remember you, not just some other black face, okay? That's why Wayne did his hair like that. That's why he wore those silk shirts. That's why he had the big glasses like that. That was his style, his look, okay? And it worked. People remembered him for the wrong reasons. I remembered him for the wrong reasons, or the right reasons. So the guy sees Wayne get in the car with Larry Rogers. Then Nellie Trammell is driving down, I can't remember, one of these streets over there near where Wayne lives. And she's either cut off or she approaches him at a stop sign or a traffic light and pulls up beside him and looks over into the white station wagon and sees Wayne Williams, who she recognized because she went to the church right across the street from Wayne Williams. So she knew Wayne Williams, okay? And then slumped over in the seat beside Wayne Williams in the passenger seat was Larry Rogers, okay? Again, like I said, once Wayne gets them in the car, unless they've already agreed to go back to his house, he's got to have some reason to subdue them. So maybe with the adults, he's giving them a joint that has something in it. Hey, here's a beer, man. He's already put something in it. Maybe with the children, he's using the chloroform, real quick with the cloth. Boom. Grab the back of the head, with the right hand, have the chloroform in the left hand with the cloth, and put it over it. They struggle for a little bit, and then boom, they're out. With a grown adult like that, you're going to have to give them something in a joint or something in a drink, or you got them at gunpoint. Something like that, right? If they're going unwillingly. Larry Rogers seemed to win willingly. They found Larry Rogers stabbed to death and strangled in an apartment. Now, I'm not sure why Wayne left him in an abandoned apartment like that. Why didn't you just dump him in the river, right? I don't know. And then John Porter was found stabbed to death at the end of April. He was propped up on a curb, and I believe that was like right over there in South Atlanta. And his blood type was found in the cushions of Wayne Williams' car. That's one they should be doing DNA on right there. Because if he's killing John Porter and they found the blood and it matches, case over, folks. Jimmy Ray Payne, who was working with Wayne, I believe, to help him gather children, was on his way to the Omni to sell some coins. He disappeared. He ended up in the river. All right. On May 12th, FBI agents found the body of 17-year-old William Billy Sarr Barrett on a curb in a wooded area near his home. A witness, 32-year-old Harold Wood, a custodian from the Southwest High School, had run out of gas about a mile from the scene. Wood described a black man standing over and observing the location where the body was found before driving away in a white over blue Cadillac. Now, that's the first one. I never heard that one before. So Barrett, okay, was connected to Wayne by Barrett's brother and by Barrett's mother. They both said that Wayne came over to the house, and I believe Wayne borrowed, what, $5 from Barrett's brother? And so there's a connection there with Wayne. And this location where the body's found is just right down the street, across the highway, from where many of the other victims were found. Okay. Now, the end of May 1981, the last reported victim was added to the list was 27-year-old Nathaniel Cater. He was last seen by a gardener, Robert Henry, at the entrance of the Rialto Theater in Atlanta, reportedly holding hands with Wayne Williams. The body was discovered 2 days later. Now, Nathaniel Cater lived right upstairs from LaTanya Wilson. The witness described a guy leaning on a white station wagon while another guy held the body of LaTanya Wilson, and she described the guy holding the body of LaTanya Wilson as looking like Wayne Williams, and the other person looking like Nathaniel Cater, as best as you could at, 3 in the morning? Why she didn't call the cops then, I don't know. They discovered the girl was gone and called the cops, and then she comes over and says, oh, yeah, I saw this morning about 3 o'clock in the morning. What the fuck is with that neighbor? I hope I don't have neighbors like that, right? Oh, yeah, some guy was breaking in your house at 3 in the morning. I didn't call. I didn't wake you or go knock on your door or scream, help, 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 or call the police or nothing. You're lucky I came over later, right? Anyway, Nathaniel Cater is also seen by another witness in the same complex. Hopefully it's not the same lady. Across the street in a park, sitting on a table with Wayne Williams sitting beside him, and there's a white station wagon, and sitting in the passenger seat is a German Shepherd, most likely Sheba, Wayne Williams' German Shepherd dog. And people, they find all these German Shepherd hairs on the bodies of the victims. You got to figure out, how do they get those, how do the victims get the German Shepherd dog hairs on their body? Well, because Wayne was always driving around with that German Shepherd in the car. And I guess you can figure that if Wayne didn't have the German Shepherd in the car and he pulls up to you, you're probably dead, right? You're probably going to be the next victim. So, 54 minutes. There we go. So she describes, she doesn't know Wayne Williams. She doesn't know the German Shepherd. She doesn't know the white car, but she describes, this is how you can tell something's true. When people describe things that they don't know, that matches what other people know. Okay? Nobody knew that the German Shepherd would ride around in Wayne Williams' car except other witnesses that knew Wayne. She didn't know Wayne. Okay? I think they were discussing what happened I think the conversation went something like that because they had apparently what she said, they were having a very agitated, animated type of conversation, which basically probably went something like this. Nathaniel Cater, God damn, Wayne, what did you do? Wayne Williams, oh, what, I had to kill Jimmy Ray Payne and Billy Barrett and John Porter because they all knew. They were part of our crew and they knew about what we've been doing and up to. And, I had to get rid of them. So it's just you and me now against the world. I did it for us. Okay. And Nathaniel's like, well, fuck, how, well, okay. He said, look, all these people are dead. We're the only two that know. And of course, Nathaniel Cater's going, I'm the only person left that knows. Wow, okay. I need to run my ass out of here. So that's exactly what he does after that conversation is he runs to the Falcon Hotel, runs away from home, and goes to the Falcon Hotel. And then he's hiding out there. Wayne finds him. And then somehow Wayne convinces him that he's not going to kill him, that, hey, everything's good. Just you and me against the world. I've killed off everybody that could tie us to it. And so now we're going to lay low. And so they end up going to the Rialto Theater, which was a notorious homosexual porn theater, I believe, and which is now part of like Georgia State University. He's seen there by Robert Henry, a maintenance man at that place that knew Nathaniel Cater. They were holding hands, and walking out behind them were two men, black men dressed in drag. And then that night, okay, that is the first night of the Gemini astrological calendar. So in the astrological calendar, the astrological date begins at sunset of that day. That's why you'll see it like 21st, 22nd. So he kills him because it's like 9 o'clock. And then when this witness comes forward, before Wayne was saying, no, I was at home the whole night. I was sick. I didn't go anywhere. Except when I got caught by the police down by the James Jackson Bridge after the splash. But at 9 o'clock, I was at home. But then when Robert Henry comes forward, he changes his story and says, no, I wasn't at home sick, who his parents testified that he was, and they lied. I was down at Hotlanta Records, owned by Jimmy Ginn, selling him a photo in the opposite direction, okay? So how could I be downtown? And then he changes the story again and says, oh, yeah, but I did go downtown and try to sell them a radio or tried to pick up a recorder at the Sansuchi Lounge. He adds that point later on. And then he changes and says, no, I didn't go there until, depending on what day you're talking to him, I went there before the bridge, after the bridge, but after Hotlanta Records, before Hotlanta Records, it all changes a million times. That's how you can tell someone's lying if they can't keep their story straight. Because when you're telling the truth, you know what happened because you lived it. You had it. It was right there in front of you. You can just recall, oh, yeah, I went there, and then I think I went there, and then I went there. But if like the couple of days later, right? But if you're telling a lie, you can't remember the lies that you told. But anyway, so he ends up on the James Jackson Bridge, and that's where they catch him, till they hear the splash. But we're going to continue with that and keep going to the Wikipedia article, and we'll finish up later. All right, take care.